Yes, hello guys. You're welcome back to my channel. Please like and subscribe if you like what we're doing on this channel, and comment. Let us know what you think about the topics that I present in this channel. Recommend our videos to your friends. The reason I need you to like and subscribe is because that will help YouTube algorithm to learn that what we're doing is of interest to people like you, and it will go ahead to recommend my videos to your friends. Okay, so today I want to talk about life and death. Death is something that I believe most of us who are still alive do not even want to hear anything about. We live all our lives avoiding death, something which we know is inevitable, but yet we live every day trying to not die. And for that reason, I thought it would be important that we get into the discussion about what is life? Where is life from? Is there a purpose for life? And several other related ideas. How is it that some of the necessities of life, such as oxygen, water, are in abundant supply? Such things that if we do not have them, we will immediately die, are in abundant supply. They are not left to be controlled by some people. How did that happen? How is that the case? So, and I am of the opinion that life can be likened to fire, which only ever wants to burn greater and with ever increasing intensity. Let's ask some critical questions. How much in control of life are we? How much in control? Do you really choose the things you do? Are you completely independent? Do you live under predetermined constraints? Are you forced to align with certain standards? Is there a way that you must live? I sort of think that the answer to these questions are self-evident if you think about it. But let's get to it. You were born human. You did not choose to be human. Why aren't you a fish? Why aren't you a goat? Why aren't you a crocodile? Had you been a fish, you would have had to live in water. And living in water immediately changes your contribution to life as we know it. You will contribute whatever is going on there inside the waters. Well, we have some ideas as human beings, but let's face it, we really know about ourselves. And what we know is our perspective to other lives. That's what we know. We do not know from an insider perspective. It's only a fish that really knows what it is like to be a fish. So, which means you're human. And it's not your choice that you're human. And how much control of your life have you? How much in control of your life are you? And a good example, a good way to ask about this is, if you lived 200 years ago, there was no sort of this information technology as we have it today, and you would live within the realities of that period, and living in this reality already determines a lot for your life. My son right now, when he wants to say make a phone call, he does this. But a few years ago, when we wanted to say make a phone call, we did this. And there are people who lived in an era where the concept of phone call didn't even exist. So, do you realize just how much our perspective to life is different now that we can make a phone call? I'm right here in the United States. My parents are there in Nigeria and the rest of my extended family. And with a single dial, I get to speak with every single one of them. And sometimes when I call and they don't pick up, I even start to feel offended. In fact, if I have to call 2, 3 times before I reach a person, I feel like it has taken ages before that person took up the call. I feel so angry. I feel like, why aren't you taking my call? It's taking so long to reach you. It's this, is that. And yet information, like the communication, is moving at the speed of light. I've been told by some of my elders that I know one of my professors, he schooled here in the United States, and then if you were doing research and you wanted to write an author, to maybe you want to get the author's paper, or you just have some collaboration going on and you write a letter, sometimes it would take 3 months for your letter to be delivered to that author. And I'm even talking about the era where there is already some means of transportation that makes you be able to get to such authors in 3 months. There was a time in the past where you didn't even bother to contact any author. Right now, if you want to search information, when people think information at Google speed, people are Google smart these days. You watching me right now, let me ask you something. What do you think is my age? You probably don't know. But you know the funny thing? The moment I tell you my name is Emmanuel Otubo, you know my age. You could go to Google right now and you can pull up my information from Auburn University and you will find that Emmanuel Otubo is a graduate student in dash department and he is this years old. So your perspective to life is different. The way you react to life is different. The way you see things are totally different. And it is not because you have chosen for the way you see them to be different. These are predetermined things. You just came into it and you are living like this. So what makes us different from like a body of water? And this is taking me to the point where I'm trying to say that I genuinely believe that there is a purpose to life. We're not just living. There is a source. Life has a source. Think about water. Do you think any singular molecule of water knows what it is, what water does in creation, in the world, what we need water on earth for? Yet it just continues to move and exist. But altogether, the entire body of water, they fulfill the role that water has to play. But not a single molecule can tell you what it does. It just needs to be water and the role is fulfilled. How about you? How are you different from just a molecule of water? You think you're special? You think you're different? How much of what you're thinking now is actually you and not what you met in society? Are you following the trend? You're probably flowing along with the rest of us, but you do not, because you do not see the whole, you don't know you're flowing. You're just going in a particular direction because life has a purpose. And without consulting with anyone, life goes about trying to fulfill its purpose. So, I am a religious guy, I would say. I'm a Christian. And the question is, Christianity believes that God created man. If you read the Bible, you will see the biblical account of how man was created. I've heard a lot of atheists say they do not believe the Bible. And sometimes the reason I have heard people say they don't believe the Bible, they don't believe in God, is because they can't make sense. Or rather, that some of the stories of the Bible don't make sense to them. Or rather, it's most likely untrue. I prefer to say they think it does not make sense. Okay, But I feel that if we are to base belief upon making sense of things, that's, excuse me, that would be quite arrogant, don't you think? Like if you do not understand something, then it's not true. That's quite arrogant, because that means you have a lot of faith in your ability to understand things. You're probably very smart, yeah. But if reality was to be based upon your understanding, I doubt that we would all have come as far as we have come. There are things that will be discovered in life 1,000 years from now, and their understanding will increase. Some of those things you can't even imagine right now, and yet it doesn't make sense, seems to you to be enough reason to say, then it is false. That's strange. But that's up to you. For me, I believe in God. And let's assume for a moment that my belief is correct. Let's think about this. If you were God and you wanted to tell the story of life, how would you tell it? How would you tell it? I can give you an example. In this era, it's now possible to use ultrasound to even get to know the gender of our baby from week 15 or thereabout. That's the one I have used. 15th week of pregnancy, we can tell the sex of the baby. So, because of ultrasound, we are able now to begin to interact with this baby from week 15. In fact, we begin to interact with this baby as early as pregnancy happens. We have the test kit you use. Within 3 weeks or so, a woman can confirm that she's pregnant. And we can begin to go to hospital and use ultrasound. I have ultrasound pictures of my baby. He's 2 years now. But I met him, like actually met him from when he was weeks old. The people of the past can't even. This will seem like witchcraft to them. It will seem like a total witchcraft. So if I wanted now to tell the story of my son, up to the degree that I know, I can start to tell stories starting all the way as far back as his 6th week. I can tell him what his heart rate was, and I can show him his ultrasound of 15 weeks. I do not have any picture of myself when I'm 2 years old. I don't even know how I looked when I was 2 years old. Yes, I have one. There are those baby pictures that our parents snapped then. I have that. But my parents don't even have that one for themselves, because photographs weren't a thing when they were born. We are not exactly sure what my dad's age was, because nobody recorded it. Life has changed a great deal. Imagine now. So I can tell my son's story from 15 weeks, and even earlier. I can show him pictures of himself from 15 weeks. If you were God, let's suppose God is real, and you were God, you wanted to tell the story about man, where would you start? Part of why we have difficulty accepting the story of the Bible is that it doesn't make sense to us, because we're trying to use today's sense to make sense of things that may have changed a great deal. we're trying to use today's sense to make sense of that. When he says he made man, he made Adam, he made Eve, what you picture is you picture a man like me. That's what you see. Let's say someone that knows the full story about my son tells it. The story might begin from when I met his mom, my wife. The particular sperm cell, this particular sperm that is him, the particular one, when it formed in my body, do you think if God wanted to talk about him, that God will not be referring to him from all the way back to when the particular sperm cell that created him was formed in my body, the egg formed in my wife's body, and God will tell his precise story. And if God tells the story with that level of detail, you won't be able to relate. How do you expect to relate? The sperm is made up of different parts. It's a cell, like it's a living cell. Excuse my language, I'm not a biologist, okay? I'm just trying to explain this the way that it's makes sense to me as well. So made up of different components, of biological components that is now alive. How about God is telling you the story from how all those different components finally came together to become that thing which is alive? And we are told by scientists that there are over 1 billion sperms when a man, ejaculates. And which one of them, like if you see that billion, if you saw them before the fertilization, would you be able to pick this is the one which ended up being my son? And God, if he goes all the way back, you think that he will wait until the boy is standing right here before me before he refers to him as this boy who he has now become, or rather who has come to the level where our own senses are able to recognize him? No, but God recognized him all the way back. So if God told the story, I can assure you it will not be something relatable. You won't be able to make sense of it. So if he tells you the story of creation, you really expect it to make sense. Don't you see that your understanding starts from somewhere? Even some of your beliefs are not, you're not aware of some of your beliefs yet. When events occur that require you to act based upon such beliefs, you immediately create a response based upon beliefs you are not even consciously aware of. So our knowledge starts from some point. So on that note, I would think it would be arrogant for you to think, I don't understand this, then it's probably not true. I think you overestimate yourself. Imagine that when God was talking about Adam, he's talking about Adam from the very beginning. When Adam was a cell. You are seeing a cell. God is seeing Adam. When you were in your parents' bodies, your parents do not know you're going to be the governor of your state yet. But God already knows that this is His Excellency, blah, blah, blah. And when He refers to you, even at that infancy, when you are really nothing, like you are really nothing, God will be referring to you and talking about His Excellency, that. This will not make sense to anyone. But fast forward to 30 years time, 40 years time, they are calling you His Excellency, that. And you think God is going to wait for you to become His Excellency before He knows you're His Excellency? Come on. So there is a huge possibility that science and religion corroborate each other. I dare to say that I believe religion more. I think in sciences we are only discovering the things religion has already long said. Well, when I say religion, I'm a Christian, and I happen to believe that the Christian account is true. So, how about physics says it's Big Bang? But what I think, I'm not a physicist, I'm not very well trained in that. So, some of you may have deeper knowledge than me in that department, but this is what I think. What we have an, let's say, observation that an event occurred, but we do not live in the event to experience everything that is going on in the event which is occurring. We simply are saying or have observed that a certain event occurred, Big Bang. How about if you look into the story of the Bible and you begin to see that it is Big Bang story that the Bible is telling from the perspective of truth, which is now telling you the actual thing which was going on past your observation. As a statistician, you have observational studies and you have experimental studies. You should not infer causation from observation. If you have an observational data, it can be suggestive of certain causal something that may have caused that particular thing to happen. But you will have to now conduct experimental studies, design the experiment to see if indeed you can infer causality. So we observe Big Bang happened, but we do not live in the event to see exactly what's going on. How about if the Bible is now telling us what's going on right inside that thing that we observed? And when I say observe here, of course, it's not visual observation. None of us was like this then to be able to make such observations. So God says, He created man in His own image. My son, I've told us, was not always a boy who was running around here. He was once a sperm and some eggs somewhere that needed to come together to finally be my son. You don't see that, but what if the one who is the source of life did see that, and in fact it's not a surprise to him? So I'll avoid repeating myself too much. I think you get what I'm trying to talk about. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life, and what is meaning? I have already stated that we are born into certain constraints. You were born a human being, and so you are living with the constraints of a human being. You can't live inside water. If you go certain depths below inside the sea, you will have a heart attack because the water pressure will be so much on you that your heart will not be able to pump and you will die. So this constraint already makes that you cannot live there. So you can't live in fire. If your hand touches fire, it burns. This is a constraint. You did not choose it. It is there. Like the material you're made of will respond to fire that way. It's not your choice. Beauty. You do not choose the things you think are beautiful. Beauty reveals itself to you, which means it's an independent thing that is there, and there is something in you that's already designed to respond to it. It's not your choice. I'm a guy. I remember when I was a young boy, secondary school, university, I once in an airport saw an amazingly beautiful girl. It was I can't explain the feeling. I did not choose to think that she was beautiful. The beauty just revealed itself to me. Like whatever it is in me that that determines what beauty is, responded. Nobody. This is without consultation to me, without negotiation with me, nothing. You just see it is what it is. And that is the difference between the truth and just our mere imaginations. In the same sense, you see a work of art. You see certain work of art and the thing just totally captivates you. You can't take your eyes off. You hear music. You just hear some sound. You don't even know what they are talking about. And it is just so sweet for you. You have zero control. Zero. You have never heard the music before. You were just walking by the road and you heard this super wonderful sound that something in you just enjoys. Not that you chose to enjoy it. I'm trying to outline something here. The same with meaning. There is a certain way we live that manifests itself to us as meaningful. And there is a way we live that manifests itself as meaningless. So, what are those ways that manifest themselves as meaningful to us? What are those ways that you live and you just feel like you're living right? Nobody tells you. Nobody. You just know it. So how come? So, realizing that, so all this is leading me to say that there is a purpose for life, and that purpose, well, I'm not super concerned about individual purposes here, like you as an individual. I'm talking about life. Life is beyond you. I said before that I think life can be likened to fire that only ever wants to increase and burn with ever greater intensity. That's it. And what you are, you're just one of the sticks that is keeping the fire burning. But life is the fire. So the question is, what does fire do? Imagine the ways that I feel that thing in us that ascribes meaning to something. The way I feel that we live and it considers it meaningless, and you end up, having cases of suicide, people going to shoot people, all those frustrations. I think these are all birthed from the place of living a life that is meaningless. And you, like I have said again, you do not choose what has meaning. There is just meaning, and life recognizes it. Not you. Once you live that way, your life will manifest itself to you as meaningful. And when you are living in a way that your own life will manifest itself as useless, meaningless, worthless to you. You're not choosing to feel worthless, to feel meaningless, to feel all those negative feelings. Life itself determines what is positive. Yes, with more and more exposure of mind, there are a few errors that can be fixed. But the fundamental idea is that we have an affinity for truth and for meaning. If you restart life today, let's say something just happens and there is just one healthy man and one healthy woman and life is restarted all over again. Guess what? values will still evolve the same way they have. And this is because value is not dependent on person. Life understands value, and life is beyond you. You are just one stick. And the reason life may feel meaningless to you is this. Imagine fire. You light a matchstick, and all that matchstick does is just trying to not die, trying to burn for as long as it can. Remember, so long as the fire keeps burning, the wood continues to burn up. And after some time, it finally burns out and goes off. Fire has been wasted on that wood. So there is a way you will live, and life has been wasted on you. And you know when that is happening. That's why you feel like your life is meaningless. I believe that we find meaning in life is found in the place where there are things that we can afford to die for. Because the reason you are alive is not to be alive. Life is pursuing a purpose, and everyone who is not contributing positively to actualizing that purpose that is innately written in our spirits, the person just feels meaningless. So look for meaning. And when you find meaning, what you call your life, staying alive, becomes of secondary concern. Let's think about this. And now also about death. People think death is a bad thing. No. Death is a purifier. In fact, let me see. I have written something here. I think this is a statement by Steve Jobs. He says, almost everything, pride, fear of embarrassment, failure, all of those things we worry about when we are alive that keeps us from living, they fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Oh my goodness. Do you know what happens? As you live, one way or the other, you are making contribution to life. And the thing that stays after you are gone is just the contributions you have made. All your limitations will die with you. Your children will not be born with your mindset. However, everything you have accomplished is left behind, and they only get to continue without suffering everything you suffered to get up to that point. Because in the process of suffering, we get limited. Like we accumulate a lot of chaff that keep us from growing even more. What happens? The phonics, we re-emerge through our children. You see a brand new being who gets to enjoy all your positive contributions without inheriting your limitations by way of experience. The things you experience, that there are some people that because of how much they suffered, they are not able to love anymore. Guess what? He gives birth to a child. The child did not suffer what you suffered. One way or the other, many generations later, nobody remembers how much you suffered. But if you accomplished anything good, if you changed life, that change continues. So death is a purifier, helps. So we are just like, call us filters. Human beings are like filters for life. So life passes through us, filters out all the negativities until we are full and we die. life emerges in a purer form. Can you imagine? So, when you think of life, don't think about you. Think about us, humanity. Well, past humanity. Life is just something. So death is a necessary thing for life to thrive. I wrote something here. I said that in death, life is given an opportunity to advance. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Imagine mankind being stuck in your limitations, stuck in all the things you could never understand because of beliefs you already adopted, all the experiences you could never have. I am black. I could never be white. I could never be mixed race. If I married someone from another race, we will create a brand new human being who we ourselves are not capable of experiencing life the way he will. So imagine life being stuck in all the experiences you could not have. If you think about that, you will see that life needs you to die, because everything you can contribute, life will retain it even after you die. So, in that note, I would encourage people to go about life, not just resisting death. Some of us, the way we live is to not die, so that we end up not living. Some are so afraid that if you scared them enough, they won't step out of their room until the end of their lives. You are burning out. You are going to die. So, but you simply want to hold on to life for one more minute, and so you end up not living. Because of the love of life, or what we perceive to be the love of life, which is rather the fear of death, a lot of people end up not living. Many third world countries are third world countries because people love life. So, as I was saying, you see, life is to be lived and lived in full, because after all, we are going to die. And there is a purpose to life, and that purpose has been wired into your being without consultation to you. You simply go about fulfilling that purpose, or you go about trying to live. Or what happens when you go off from the path that leads to the accomplishment of purpose is you start to feel frustrated. There is a way you live that reveals itself to you, not me. Nobody tells you. On your own, you just start to feel frustrated. Nobody makes you feel that way. You just feel that way. So why not actually live life? Okay, so what are those important things that we in general find meaning in doing? How do we live that manifests itself as meaningful to us? To us. Like, it's not like you meet someone and the person tells you this is meaningful. For some reason, you just feel good when you are kind to others. When you're mean, you just know you're mean. You may find justifications, you may find whatever you do. That's you. But I don't tell you how you feel when you do those. You just feel the way you feel, which is usually horrible. So, why do you feel that way? How do you measure the value of life? At the point of death or after someone has died, what do we consider valuable in the person's life? Let's say you lived 1,000 years. Right now, people live 80s, 70, 80, 90. Life expectancy in third world countries are actually much lower. But we want to live every single day. Right now, I'm in my 30s. And if God keeps me alive, all things being equal, I'm going to, stay alive till 80, let's say. So I have roughly say about 50 more years to be alive. I know this for certain. Well, you might want to debate with me and say, how do you know it's 50? I don't know it's anything. But I certainly know I don't have 100 more years to live. You who are watching right now, you know you don't have 100 more years to live. So you're going to die for sure. Question is how? So are you going to live just trying to be alive one more day? Or are you going to commit your life to something, and if you die, you die? And of course, there is a negative way to live. If I go now and jump down from this, or if I can end my life, basically, that's what I'm trying to say. But if the way you lived manifested itself as meaningful to you, you would not jump down to kill yourself. So the thing that makes you want to jump down to kill yourself is because you've not adopted the manner of living that manifests itself as meaningful to you. So is it enough to live a long life? Someone who lived 30 years and someone who lived 70 years, what is different? What is different for both of them after they have died? Like someone lived and died today, and someone lives 40 more years and dies. In 50 years' time, you look back, what's the difference between the one that died 30 years ago and the one that died, just 40 more years later? What's the difference? They are dead. They are dead. So what's the difference? Is it enough to be rich, to be poor? Some of the decisions you make, some of the things you have gone on to do in life because you're pursuing wealth, are they really worthwhile? Are they meaningful? Have they changed life? Is it enough to be rich? Can you do anything just to be rich? Again, after both the poor and the rich are dead, what does it matter whether they were rich or poor? It seems to me like they are dead. That's what it is. Or that what they experienced while they were alive, they are dead. Where is the experience going? Grave? It's going to the grave. But the whole point of what I'm trying to say is, by the time they are dead, them, when they draw the last breath, let's say they have time to think and they evaluate their lives, I don't think that what the person is thinking is, I was rich or I was poor. It would be weird if someone was thinking that, because you are dead and whatever wealth or riches you had, you have near 0% control of how things will turn out with them, who gets them, who controls them. No, you have zero control. And even the things you consider wealth, are they really wealth? In the Bible, one of the men that were considered the richest man was Solomon. But Solomon, as rich as he was in that era, did not have what is available to an ordinary person today. It would take Solomon months to travel from wherever he lived to the other half of the globe. Years, months. An ordinary person today needs $2,000, and I will fly here from the US to Japan. And I don't even have to fly. I have a friend in Japan right now. If I pick my phone, I am talking with the guy right now, and I can get things to start happening in Japan sitting right here. So, what do you really mean you are rich? Like, the difference between Solomon and the poorest person when he lived, compared to now, both of them look super miserable. Their life, someone who has Solomon's life right now is suffering. In the literal sense of it, I want you to understand what I mean. Do you know how much advancements, how much grounds have been covered in the health research? Do you know how many women died during childbirth during Solomon? Do you know they did not have cesarean section? Do you know they did not have all these surgeries we have these days? Do you know that women have a lot of different conditions that can lead to them having blood discharge? That was a for life situation if it happened then. Now, if you can just find the money, surgery, and it's done. I mean, done. I had toothache last year. Goodness, this in my adult life, that's the most intense pain I have ever felt. I had tooth surgery, and they took out the teeth that were causing this intense, unbearable pain. I couldn't drink cold water. And if I say cold, I don't mean fridge cold. I just mean during winter, just water just gets cold. This would have been my condition for the rest of my life if I lived in the period of Solomon. Now, with just small amount of money, I had surgery, took the teeth out, and I'm feeling like a baby. Like I bought ice cream and oh my goodness. So an ordinary person today the person's life is a dream Solomon couldn't even dream. You think Solomon knew that this was going to be the case? Like, you're living now and you are so full of yourself. You think you can't imagine how much better life can get. You think, no, this is I don't think we can get any further from here. You're joking. Our lives are going to look miserable to generations. Think if Christ tarries, think about 1,000,000 years' time. Goodness. Just think about 1,000,000 years' time. I am so impatient right now if I'm trying to call my brother and I don't get him in 30 minutes. In the future, I don't want to imagine because I don't want to sound foolish. So, what wealth do you really think you have? And yet, the people who have created this life you have now, for instance, you want to leave, that's why you're avoiding saying the truth. You feel like your life will be at risk if you say the truth. This life that you currently have, you are working so hard to preserve and enjoy, a hard work of other people. Do you understand? I mean, some people decided to risk their own lights going off. And that's the only reason you have this comfort you're trying to stay in. even ordinary house. People, so the way that life advances is because people allow their fire to burn. They risk the fire going off. If everyone adopted your manner of living and just tried to stay alive, avoided whatever could take their lives, if they all did that, maybe I would not have been able to have tooth surgery, and this would have been a pain I will endure for the rest of Jesus. I don't even want to imagine it. I talked about women having blood discharge. I've had a relative have blood discharge, and we had a surgery and she's fine right now. That moment I started to think, so if medicine had not advanced to this point, this would have been this person's situation for the rest of her life. And you right now, with all the gifts, all the potentials you have, you simply want to be alive. And because of you, some future person will suffer so much because the aspect of life that was contained in your fire, wasted. Doesn't make any sense if you ask me. So I would encourage you to adopt more meaningful style of living. And by the way, recognition has nothing to do with the value of life. Sometimes we think the people we remember are like the people that change life. Immaterial. If I come up with an idea, I figure something out, and one way or the other, I let it out and it goes on to transform life. It doesn't matter whether people know I did it. Life will be different because of me. No consideration to whether anyone knows. So do not think recognition, because what people think is, you want to think of those great men, the ones you know their names are the ones you think are great men. No, the people that made the discoveries are the great men, whether you know their names or not. Had they not made the discoveries, life would have been stuck, would have taken the form it will take absent that discovery. The discovery is what changes life. So if you contribute something that changes life, life changes because of you. Recognition or no recognition, immaterial. Life is different because you happened. And this is when this is when you think, okay, this is a good wood. Life burnt well in you. And what you are supposed to do is to be a bridge to the next set of woods that will burn, because you burnt well. Let me know what you think about this conversation I just had with you. If you liked my presentation, if you like the kind of thing I've just talked about, like my video, share my video, invite your friends. Let YouTube algorithm know that you think this is important. It will recommend it to your friends, and give me your comments, give your suggestions on other topics. If you want to be invited for us to have more conversation, or for you to give a perspective that I did not cover, I'll be very happy to do that. Just